Hi, Gideon Ariel here, speaking to you today from Ofra, which is actually the hometown of Gideon of the Bible, who I'm named after. So I like Ofra. We're at Aaron Lipkin's home by the beautiful Hanukkah candles that his family just lit. And today we were at a very special event in the Knesset. A collection of Jews and Christians got together in order to learn from the Bible, thanks to the Israel Bible and the Yeshiva for the Nations. And right now we're happy to share some of the footage that we took there today in the Knesset.
As we took upon ourselves in the past, our custom is to begin with Hatikva. I want to offer that at the end, when we finish saying Hatikva, to start another custom. By after that, we'll sing "This Is the Day."
This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it, shall be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the
besides the fact that today in the prayer we sang it, is also that it doesn't say in the verse which day is it. And the answer is every single day. It's in our hands. Every single day we can wake up in the morning and say, "This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and sing in it. And we will be glad in it," because we understand when you wake up in the morning and you don't let the day lead you, but you have your conscience aware of what's happening and understand that this is the day that God has made, and this is the day that you can make a change in the world, then we will all rejoice and be glad with it.
Amen. Amen.
So we will begin lighting the candles of the menorah, and we will thank and pray to God that we will be privileged to be flames in the menorah of God, to bring His light to the world. Amen. In the evening we make a blessing. When we light it during the day, we leave it without the bracha, and it's Baruch Hashem. So, welcome to the fifth meeting of the Bible Caucus, and I would like to begin with a few words about Hanukkah, and then connect to the where Hanukkah appears in the book. You'll be surprised it appears directly, not even with hints, it appears. But first, we'll just recall that according to the Talmud, Hanukkah was a holiday that was established by Adam, first man. What is Hanukkah? Hanukkah is a celebration that we celebrate at the darkest time of the year. We're talking about when the day is short, the night is long, in December. But not only that, of all the Jewish holidays, they're celebrated usually in the middle of the month, the Hebrew month, where the moon is full. Hanukkah is celebrated the last few days of one month, the first few days of the next month, meaning there's no moon. So it's like the longest night and the darkest night. And when Adam comes to that time and he sees it's getting dark, and he's afraid that the world is coming to an end, and then he remembers that he's connected to the light of the Garden of Eden, which eventually becomes the light of the menorah of the temple. And he understands that even in the darkest of dark, even when it's totally dark, not only can there be light, but you can put light on your window and bring light to the entire world. And from there on, the world can be filled with light and once again be enlightened. And that's our job on Hanukkah, to remind the world that even in the darkest of darkness, even when the world was teaching us that God has replaced us with a new covenant, and He's finished His covenant with the people of Israel, we always reminded ourselves that in the darkest of darks, we had the connection to the light of Zion, to the light of the menorah from the temple, to the light of Jerusalem, the light of the universe. And though some people may think that the origin of the light of the world is the sun, we know that that's only Fata Morgana. The origin of the light of the world is the temple of God in Jerusalem. Hey, they're even clapping. I wanted to speak today a little bit about Hanukkah, how it comes about in the Tanakh. So those of you who have a Tanakh in front of you, or those of you who have a smartphone with Tanakh on it, are welcome. The first we can share and see, open in the book of Haggai. The book of Haggai is of the prophets, of the 12 prophets. Haggai is the prophet who's in the time of Darius, 18 years after the rebuilding of the second temple, or actually not after the beginning of the rebuilding, and the rebuilding of the altar. And then there's a prophecy which Haggai reads, and I'm reading in chapter 2 of the book of Haggai. The whole book of Haggai, by the way, is just a few months. It begins, the very first one, he begins on the first day of the 6th month. Those of you who know the Hebrew month, it's the first day of Elul. And the final prophecy of Haggai, in chapter 2, verse 10, on the 24th day of the 9th month. What is the 24th day of the 9th month? That is the day before Hanukkah. And what does he call this day? I'm going to read what he called this day. In verse 18, take note, from this day forward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, from the day when the foundation was laid for Hashem's temple. That's what it says there, on the 24th of Kislev, the day before Hanukkah, hundreds of years before the Chasmonaim. The Bible tells us that this is the day that the beginning of laying the foundation stone of the rebuilding of the eternal temple. And that's where it is, right over there. It's not numeral, it's not hints, it's directly here in the book.
Wow.
I want to take from that point a little bit about the story of the message of Hanukkah. One of the famous stories is that you come back to the temple and there's no oil. It's all been impure, it's all been contaminated, and there's no real olive oil that's left. And they take that olive oil, and it lasts for beyond what we would think naturally it's available. Now, does that miracle sound familiar? Anybody? Well, once again, we have the Israel Bible. You're welcome to open in the book of Kings, chapter 2. chapter 4, excuse me, book Kings 2, chapter 4. Isha Achat, a certain woman, the wife of one of the disciples of the Nevi'im, cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband is dead, and you know how your servant revered Hashem. And now a creditor is coming to you to seize my 2 children as slaves." Elisha said to her, "What can I do for you? Tell me, what have you in the house?" She replied, "Your maidservant has nothing at all in the house, except a jug of oil. One little jug of oil, a such shemen. That's all that's left. There is nothing left except her 1 jug of oil." "Okay, then go in. Go," he said, "and borrow vessels outside from all your neighbors, empty vessels, as many as you can. Then go in, shut the door behind you, and your children, and pour oil into all the vessels, removing each one as it's filled." She went in, shut the door behind her and her children. They kept bringing vessels to her, and she kept pouring. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another vessel." He answered her, "There are no more vessels," and the oil stopped. So what we see here is that when there's nothing left, there's a jug of oil. And that jug of oil can bring prosperous blessing from God. What is that concept? Well, actually, that story appears before the book of Kings. Where else does that story appear? Maybe you heard of a book called Genesis? Genesis 32. When Jacob is describing how he left Israel. What does he say? I'm reading Genesis chapter 32, in verse 10. Let's see, in verse. Are we? Genesis 32, where Jacob is describing. We'll find it. Usually, if you want to find the verse, don't look for it. No, here, 32, verse 11. Yaakov said, "O God, my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, and Hashem said to me, return to your native land, I will deal down with you. I am unworthy of all your kindness." So we're talking about after Jacob spent many years with Laban, and he's on his way back home. And what does he say? He says, "You have so steadfastly shown your servant kindness, because only with my staff alone have I crossed the Jordan, and now I have become 2 camps. When I left Israel, all I had with me was nothing, except for what? My staff." Is that the truth? Well, let's go back and see. In verse 28, what happened? Jacob sleeps. He wakes up in the morning after the dream of the ladder. And what does he do? He takes the stone that he laid his head on. He turns it over. And what does he do? What does he do? Do you remember what he does? We'll go into chapter, Genesis 28. And we'll see what he does. Early in the morning, Genesis 28, chapter 8 turn. Early in the morning, Yaakov took the stone that he put under his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on the top of it. Where'd the oil come from? I thought he had nothing. Didn't we say that all he had was his staff? Where'd the oil come from? Well, actually, the story begins way before that. Way before that. In the beginning. Where does it begin? I'll tell you another story. You may have heard of it. The story of a gentleman named Noah. Okay? He's sitting in the teva, in the what do you call the teva in English? In the ark. The flood's over. He has a dove. He sends her out to find out what's going on. She comes back empty-handed. The next day, he says, "Okay, nothing's left." Next day, what does she come back with? An olive branch. Okay, so now let's understand what's going on here. Now it's very simple. When there's nothing left, nothing left, there is one thing that represents the blessing of God in the world. and that is the oil. The oil which will never mix into anything else. The oil which expresses the blessing of God in the book. If you have a vessel to hold that oil and to understand that your blessing comes from God, if you have a nation where whether it's nothing left, there's only a small little nation, but it's connected to God. It's connected to the light coming from the house of God in Jerusalem. You can bring so much more light and so much more blessings, and you can be blessed by the oil of Hanukkah. And let's all be blessed by the oil of Hanukkah and take that light from the world. And even when the world is destroyed totally, if you find that olive oil, that one little pitcher of olive oil, you can bring light to the entire universe. If you have that one little drop of faith remaining in yourself. And as I always say, my faith is very small. I don't have big enough faith to believe in coincidences, to be an atheist. I analyze things rationally.
Amen.
And when I analyze things rationally, the only rational explanation I can understand in the world is the hand of God and the miracles that He's doing upon us. So I want to be thankful and say, this is the day God has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you very much.
Hallelujah.